Hey, thanks for checking out Nuts and Bolts with Tone, and welcome to my channel. Today I have a 2013 Mazda 3 with a lean condition. I'm going to show you how I address this. This car has already been here once before. I did not look at it. But anyways, we're going to treat this as if it has not been here before. So I'm going to show you what I look at first before we get started. Let's get into it. So when I'm looking at a p0171 or a 174, if it's a 4-cylinder engine, it's a 171. Then I know its bank one is lean. If it's a 171 and 174 and it's a V6, then I know that the whole engine's lean. Now, a couple of very important PIDs is engine RPM, 640. Let's see, I'm trying to do this through my phone here. The other ones that I look at is on newer cars, you have this time since engine start, 430 seconds. So we'll calculate that out later. The next one is engine coolant temp, 170. I look at fuel trim. Short term is what we're looking at. That's plus 25%. Obviously, we have a lean condition. Now, a couple last PIDs that are important is vehicle speed and calculated load. Vehicle speed is 0 and calculated load is 25.1%. So we're at a idle. So since this is at idle, we are going to smoke test the intake system first. Let me get this in and get set up. So I'm going to go ahead and go through the intake air system here. We're going to pull out the PCV. I'm going to take the air box off. I have an adapter that goes down inside the intake air tube. So I'm just going to undo that, leave it connected to the throttle body. I'm going to use the speed smoke machine here. Now, if you've seen any of my videos, you've seen me use this. I'm going to use the vapor side. Make sure you do not click the turbo side because it'll put too much pressure and you could damage your intake system. So I'm going to use the easy intake adapter. This has a little ball to pump up. And when you pump it up, it pumps up this little rubber section. And that seals off intake passages, like a throttle body, a intake air tube. And then it's got a little knob that you turn to release the air. And there's also an extra hose to put the smoke machine through. So it's a one-way valve there. So because the air intake tube has the PCV opening at the front by the throttle body, I'm going to push this easy intake all the way into almost all the way up against the throttle body, so it'll seal off that port. And then I'm going to eventually put a cap over that port just to make sure it doesn't leak there. When you pump this up, you want to kind of give it a tug and a twist to make sure it's seated properly. So look at how much smoke this speed smoke produces. Look at that. And then here's the light that they provide for you. Look at how visible that smoke is. So after being very thorough with the smoke test, I determined there are no vacuum leaks. The speed smoke machine produces so much smoke that if there was a vacuum leak, it would show. Because this was a comeback, I was trying to just make sure that I checked everything because I did not want it to come back on me. All right, so we're at full operating temperature, and I got my foot on the brake, car's in drive. And as you can see, the mass airflow sensor is reporting about 3 grams per second, which is too much. The fuel trims have went up to, I think, positive 12.5. I cleared the data before I walked out of the car. I put it in park, and I cleared the data. To do that, you just hit this X right here, and you clear the data. So now what we're going to do is we're going to run a test on the mass airflow sensor. And let me get that set up. So what we're going to be doing is a volumetric efficiency test. And so what we're going to do is now I'm in park, I'm in drive. I got a straightaway. And what I'm going to do is you got to make sure that you have plenty of straightaway for your first gear to shift to second. And we're going to clear the data. And you need a graphing scan tool for this. You need one that will show min-max because we're not going to be able to catch like 618, 620. You're not going to be able to catch the exact RPM, the exact airflow. And we're also just going to look at these PIDs. We're just going to look at them. All they are is just going to give us a little input. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go wide open throttle. And as soon as it shifts to second, I'm going to let off the throttle. I'm going to hit the pause button right there. And then I will show you after this pull right now. The next part, I'm just going to screenshot what I'm going to be doing. But basically, you're going to write down that 5989 RPMs and that 118.82 grams per second. So we looked at the short-term fuel trim, and it only went to 8.6, and the calculated load went to 100%. The load pit I like to look at because usually if you have a bad mass airflow sensor, Toyotas, things like that, you have a 4-cylinder Toyota, this load pit is only going to be 80 at wide open throttle. It's not going to hit 100. So that's a really important pit, and I only do that just for my own knowing. So let me calculate this, and I'll screenshot what the app that I use and how it turns out. So the VE, the volumetric efficiency calculation came out to 93.61, which is really, really good. Anything around 90% and up, generally it's going to be okay. However, the thing I don't like is that we are still, okay. So our airflow reading is better. Still a little high. 2.6 is still high. Now our short-term fuel trim never poked its head at plus 25%. So we may have to come back to this and test it. But you can see what I was talking about. You see how my airflow meter is 118.82, so I'm in a clear. And that is going to remove that. And so now we're down where we're supposed to be. So that's a really important function. Not all scan tools can do that. That's really good if you're going to walk away from a car. You want to look at short-term fuel trim, if you want to look at battery voltage. Let's say you have an intermittent alternator you suspect, you can put it on battery voltage and you can just let it graph. Things like that. You can walk away from it, come back. And even if it passes on the scale and you can't go back to it, you'll still be able to see that you had a problem. So let's go pull this mass airflow sensor out of here and see what it looks like. So check this out. The mass airflow sensor isn't even secured in the airbox. If you wiggle it, you could see it move. That means it's not even secured. The screws are stripped. So that could allow unmetered air into the air intake. So not sure if someone took that mass airflow sensor out and put it in wrong, stripped the holes. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But here's the mass airflow sensor. Now this is the engine side. So the air passes by the other side. So that's what it should look like with that brown bulb on there. There are a couple hot wires down inside. Down there. You can't really see it. It's really hard to see. But the part that the air passes through right there, look at that. It's completely black. That ball should be like a brown color, and you should be able to see the wire. Now I have a disclaimer about mass airflow sensors. There are mass airflow sensor cleaners that you can buy. They're sprays. The thing about a mass airflow sensor is some of them, the windings are so close together that you could never properly clean a mass airflow sensor to be at its peak performance. The bad thing about cleaning a mass airflow sensor is that if the customer declines the repair, then their car's kind of fixed for now. You could clean it only for testing purposes, just to see that your load pid went up or your lean condition went away. But I don't clean them. Back to this Mazda here. I finally got the mass airflow sensor approved. Also the upper airbox and spark plugs and a fuel induction service. So did the oil change, spark plugs, fuel induction service, changed the top of the airbox and put a new airflow meter in it. So now I've had it running. It's at full operating temperature and my foot's on the brake. Let's see what it does. So the mass airflow sensor should read close to the liters of the engine. This is a 2-liter engine, so it should read close to 2 liters or 2 grams per second. 2.22, 2.25, that's not too bad. We were at 3 grams per second before, so I'm happy with that. So we're gonna test drive this. Should be no more problems. But anyways, we're gonna call that good. So I hope you enjoyed this video, seeing about a lean code. Also showed you how to test for vacuum leaks, just in case you weren't familiar with that. Got to see the speed smoke in action. That thing is awesome. And also learning about a volumetric efficiency test. So I hope you liked the video. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. You get notified of all my future content, which you definitely don't want to miss. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.